Hi everyone, my name is Sherry Rubins and I am the principal timpanist with the Mid-Texas Symphony. I am also a faculty member at UTSA as senior lecturer and percussion instructor. I have been there for 26 years. I'm so happy you joined me today so we can discuss some of the percussion instruments that we get to play in the orchestra and elsewhere. Percussion instruments are generally thought to be those that you can scrape, strike, or shake. We also on occasion get to play things like the slide whistle and the duck call. These days there are also a variety of electronic percussion instruments that we get to enjoy. So percussion instruments can be pitched or non-pitched. I have in front of me a pair of timpani. These are pitched instruments. The marimba, the xylophone, and the chimes are also considered to be pitched instruments. However, things like the cymbals, the tambourine and triangle, the snare drum and cowbell, those are non-pitched instruments. There is such a variety of percussion instruments in our world that we all have access to now. It's very exciting and also somewhat overwhelming at times. But I have to tell you that I've been playing since I was 5. My father was my teacher through high school. And even though I started so young, I'm still not bored because there's so much to do and so much to play. And it's exciting because we get to play with different people all the time. And it becomes new when you do that. So we're going to talk a little bit about the timpani, but we're going to start back because this week we're celebrating our veterans and honoring them. And so I want to tell you the important history of percussion and drums in our military bands and how they were used throughout history. So smaller drums than these came through South and Western Europe. They were literally 20 to 22 centimeters big, and they were actually carried on the people playing them, they carried around their waist. So obviously they have grown since then. These instruments grew throughout Europe, and composers experiment a little bit with them, but it wasn't until 1675 that Jean-Baptiste Lully wrote for timpani in one of his operas. So it took a while for them to become an orchestral instrument in the Western Europe area. Prior to that, they were really just used to bring the troops into battle or to bring in the guard or the king. So they were used in processions and to summon the troops as well. So I'm going to give you a little demonstration of the timpani. I want to show you how they're pitched and how we change the pitch on these drums. I hope you enjoy it. So as I mentioned earlier, the timpani fall under the category of pitched percussion instruments. How do we change the pitch on these instruments? Well, today we change the pitch by using a pedal. Originally, there was no pedal. The pedal was invented in Germany in the late 1800s. Prior to that, there was a variety of different ways that people changed the pitch on the drums. There was originally no way to change the pitch. The drum heads were made of animal skin. Some people still use those today. Most of us used a plastic head. But those animal skins were literally tied down onto the bowls with some sort of rope material. So they had one pitch that they could use, and then they would have to loosen or tighten the rope. Now the rope and the tension on the head has to be the same all the way around for it to get a clear pitch, for the drum to produce a clear pitch. So we're very thankful to have the pedals available to us today. The pedals are connected in a variety of ways, depending on the manufacturer, to a lot of lugs or tuning rods that go all the way around the drum. And now when I change the pedal, that loosens and tightens the head. Again, it still has to be the same tension all the way around. So timpanists are constantly tuning and what we call clearing our heads, not this head, to make sure that the tension is the same all the way around. We have to make sure that the pitch sounds the same at this spot and that spot and every spot as we go around the head. So the pedals on the drums can be different according to the manufacturer or just what style you're happy to play with. These timpani are mine, and I use them when I play church jobs and lots of other different concerts. But this pedal, I have to release with my foot by pushing it forward a little bit, and then I can raise and lower my leg to change the pitch. Some drums work more like an accelerator pedal on your car, where we just push the ankle forward and back. There are some drums that have a little locking mechanism so the pedal would never slip, for example, if you just accidentally bumped it as you're moving around the set of drums. So here's the story. When my knee is up, or the pedal is up, it's actually the lowest note on this drum, so there's less tension on the head. You can hear the low note. And as I push my foot down and create tension on the head, it goes higher. That changes the pitch. So I can play different notes like a scale, different scale type passages. I can just stay on one note and then make it change. Lots of different options that you can do with the different pitches on the drums. Each drum has its own set of pitches that fit well according to the size of the drum. This drum, for example, basically takes the pitches from B flat to F and the bass clef staff within the staff. This drum is a lower drum, a bigger drum, so it's a lower pitched drum. So you might see me sometime in the orchestra at a concert bringing my face or my head down close to the drum, and you might be wondering what I'm doing. Well, what I'm doing is listening to the pitch of the drum, because sometimes I actually have to change the pitch in the middle of a piece, actually a lot, in the middle of a piece, and I have to be able to check that quietly though, right? I cannot in the middle of a piece go then try to check my pitch. I have to come down very close and just gently tap it, and then change my pedal and blend in with the rest of the orchestra however I'm supposed to, whether it's with the bass section, the trumpets, or I just have a solo passage maybe on my own. So that takes a lot of time to figure out, and it's great fun, the timpani, because we do get to play melody on occasion, but we also are very supportive in our role with the orchestra. So another very important style of music that was combined with military procedures is the Turkish or Janissary style of music used in the early 1700s in Turkey. And it included cymbals, triangles, bass drums, and other bells and raucous sounding instruments. They were very loud, and they were used to summon the troops, but also to scare off the people they were about to attack. So this style of music became popular throughout Europe, and composers such as Mozart, Haydn, and Beethoven used them in their pieces. So even today, of course, you hear the cymbals and triangle and bass drum in marches, in overtures, and all styles of music. But it was very important to the Janissaries in their time in the 1700s. As we fast forward to the United States colonial days, we discover that drumming was very important during the Revolutionary War. The drummers, however, were now joined by the fife players. So drums and fife would signal the troops, would take them into battle. By the Civil War, every section of the Civil War troops had a fife and a drummer in their section. These fife and drummers would signal them when to wake up, when to eat, when to go to bed, and of course also when to go into battle. The drums during the Civil and Revolutionary War eventually became very decorative, and some of this history also came from Europe. But today these drums are still used, and they're beautiful drums, as you can see on the picture we're showing you now. They're used still in the Old Guard fife and drum group in Washington, D.C. and some other military organizations. Today we still study this style that we call rudimental drumming. It's very popular, it's very technical, and it has been adapted a lot for our style of marching bands that we have today, for drum corps and marching bands. But we still study the old style, the old rudimental styles. We find it's very important to our technique and, of course, the history of what we do. So this solo I'm about to play for you is actually called Bunker Hill. Bunker Hill, the battle, was in 1775. And as you can imagine, maybe the troops going into battle, which apparently didn't turn out so well, right, at first for the United States. You can hear the drummers playing this, and there would have been some sort of fife melody going along as well. have 3 of the keyboard percussion instruments with me right now. I have the vibraphone right here, and the glockenspiel concert bells, and the xylophone. So there are 2 other keyboard instruments I don't have out right now, and that is the marimba and the tubular bells or chimes. The xylophone and the marimba, the bars on them are made of rosewood. The bars on the vibraphone, the glockenspiel, and the chimes are made of metal. Different kinds of metals for each, but metal nonetheless. The vibraphone and the chimes each have a pedal that, when you push it down, releases a dampening bar or a plate that allows the instrument to resonate. So, for example, if I play with the pedal down, it will sound like this. You can hear all of the notes ringing. If I release the pedal, it sounds like this. So it becomes much more articulate and short sounding. The keyboard instruments are set up just like the piano. We have the sharp and flat notes, or the black keys, and we have the natural notes here, or the white keys. As we honor our veterans this week, I hope you'll enjoy just this little arrangement of America the Beautiful.